Hello and welcome to our election special at Boom. We're calling our series US Elections Simplified. That's because we're asking the very basic and simple questions all through the election, and it's neck and neck. As we know right now, three states really hold the key to whether it's going to be a Trump presidency or a Biden presidency, and these three states are Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Meantime, let's bring in our fact checker, Archis Chowdhury, one of our many fact checkers. He joins us from Mumbai. Archis, we've been looking at what's been going on. It's been exciting. But on social media, another set of drama has sort of unfolded. Donald Trump tweeted, and then Twitter promptly added a disclaimer on Donald Trump's tweet. Can you take us through
That's
what that story is all about?
Yeah, sure. Just a while back, Trump tweeted that the Republicans are a big, and that the Democrats are trying to steal the election. And just after he did that, Twitter put out a disclaimer saying that this tweet is disputed and might contain misleading information. And this is kind of a continuation of a little bit of food that's been going on between Twitter and Donald Trump, where Twitter has, kind of put disclaimers on tweets by Trump before. What Donald Trump saying this is nothing new, and there has been a lot of fake news going on. There has been a surge in fake news in the past 2 days, especially on states that where election results are still being counted. For example, in Pennsylvania, there has been a huge surge in misinformation alleging voter fraud about ballots in Donald Trump's name being discarded, and all of them have been debunked as well. Here, Donald Trump is pushing out a narrative that is kind of being pushed out for a while now and has already been debunked by various fact checkers in the US. And it also shows, that is definitely kind of a concern of the information that is put out on social media, especially by verified handles and handles with a lot of popular support or like following. Given that social media has now overtaken print as it's a source of information, and is, I think, the top source of information for people between age 18 to 29. So this is a very serious issue right here. When this platform is, if this platform remains unregulated and what kind of information goes out, then it can really muddy the waters and really influence people's decisions in
Yes.
these kind of election days.
Indeed, and we saw, interestingly, each time Trump spoke in the run up, we saw TV reporters try and do an immediate fact check. I saw it on CNN last night when Trump made a statement. We understand he's going to be speaking anytime soon, so we expect that to continue. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about Facebook and what Facebook's been doing in the last couple of weeks and a few days leading up to the election and going forward, including right now. How has Facebook really focused on limiting misinformation on its platform?
Well, there are different arguments on this. So obviously, you see a lot of visible efforts by Facebook, not just now, but for the past 2-3 years, you could see a lot of efforts in upping their efforts, upping their fight against misinformation, especially after the Cambridge Analytica scandal came out and how these kind of misinformation campaigns were used to influence people. You have Facebook, starting their third-party fact-checking program, where people like us at the Boom, we tied up with Facebook, to fact-check the fake news on the platform. And of course, I mean, in recent times, Facebook has really upped its efforts in removing conspiracy theory pages from its platform. For example, there was a major purge of QAnon pages, a couple of months ago, I think last month, in the run-up to the elections. And other platforms have also taken similar steps. Twitter also had a purge. Reddit had a major purge of QAnon forums. And so basically, you could say that these efforts are there from these platforms. But a lot of researchers have pointed out that despite all their efforts, engagement with fake news have kind of surged and gone up. And the big bad actor here is the big bad problem here is seen as this algorithm, actually the newsfeed algorithms.
Yes.
And the argument is that for the past ever since the inception, that the people behind Facebook, the top level executives have been pushing for user engagement so strongly that right now the algorithm does it at a huge cost. at the cost of basically hooking people onto their phones. And that would include putting out divisive content, because those are seen to be the most attractive, the kind of content that put people on the phone the most. And even at the cost of cutting their own like social circle, cutting them off from their own social circles. So this is the issue that they're having. On one side they have to fight these kind of conspiracy theory pages, trying to take them down. And on the other side, you have the algorithm that is actually promoting such content.
Yes.
It's like a, so you don't know, like there's no, I mean, despite the efforts, it's not really going ahead. Another kind of criticism that we have heard recently is that despite fact checkers doing their best to fact check fake news on the platform, these fact check labels are not applied consistently. So you could have, say, a fake news around Hunter Biden's laptop, an image that has been fact checked by, say, PolitiFact. You would have similar posts containing this image which don't contain this fact check label. So how is Facebook doing justice to all the efforts by fact checkers? That is also a point that is being raised. Despite all this, we could definitely say that this is serious business now. As you can see, like starting from the beginning of this year, Biden and Trump campaign have each put in at least $100 million from each of their campaign funds to basically push out ads on Facebook. So this is definitely not something we can ignore any further. And if these politicians are taking it seriously, then we should also.
Right. And one quick final question. Compared to 2016, when really the world woke up to the new terms such as fake news and misinformation and disinformation, how has the misinformation landscape been different in the last few weeks specifically?
Okay, so but definitely a lot more organized. Right now, I mean, earlier you just had a couple of players, who would tap in this kind of a technique called the micro targeting or political micro targeting. But now the election campaigns are so competitive that both sides have to do this in order to stay, like stay up against each other. And you have seen it in India. You're seeing it in India right now with the Bihar election, and the same goes for the US elections right now. So when it comes to fake news, obviously there's also a major surge. People There's a threefold increase in people's interaction or engagement with fake news content on say on Facebook since the 2016 election. So there's definitely a lot more organized disinformation campaigns at play right now. But people are also, the watchdogs especially, are also looking out for this, because it's now that it's known that such a technique, such a process is out there. People are also watching out for it and studying it very closely. So after this elections, it will really decide on how we set the rules and regulations regarding Facebook, because right now it's really at its nascent stage. You still have data and privacy laws being, set by Europe and different other countries. So I mean, we are really going. This is going to be a learning point for us, and the kind of academic studies that come out from this election will help us decide on how we go about regulating content on Facebook, especially with regards to political ads and any kind of political post, really, because
Yes.
it's like it's extremely important, because if this becomes the top source of information for people, then these kind of steps need to be taken.
Yeah, and one thing's for sure, we've not seen the end of misinformation in the US election and, of course, misinformation worldwide. This is not something we are going to stop doing at Boom. Thanks so much, Archis. We'll come back to you
Sure.
as we proceed, and we'll see what's happening. It's still a cliffhanger out there in on election night.
Thank you.